Sure. Here's a 500-word story-style article titled 8 Things You Should Stop Spending Money On in Old Age, written with a narrative approach. The Wisdom of Grace. 8 things she stopped spending money on after 65. At 67, Grace Thompson sat on her porch with a cup of tea, watching the sun dip behind her garden. Life had slowed down, but in the best way. She wasn't rich, but she was content, not because she had more, but because she had learned to need less. After retiring from her job as a school librarian, Grace did what many people do. She reviewed her finances. Retirement isn't the end of spending, she'd laugh. It's the beginning of spending wisely. Here are the 8 things Grace stopped spending money on and never looked back. 1. Fancy clothes for every occasion. Grace used to love shopping for outfits for every event. But post-retirement, she realized she was attending fewer formal events. I found comfort in a small, quality wardrobe I actually wore, she said. Instead of spending on trends, she now values timeless, versatile pieces. 2. Expensive gifts. I used to think love had a price tag, Grace admitted. Birthdays, holidays, she'd go all out. Now she offers homemade baked goods, handwritten letters, or a day spent together. Turns out, time and thought mean more than price. 3. Dining out frequently. She and her friends once met at restaurants weekly. The bills added up, she sighed. Now they do potlucks or afternoon teas at home. The food is cheaper, the laughs are richer, and no one worries about tipping. 4. Premium cable or streaming services. I had 5 subscriptions and watched the same channel every night. Grace laughed. She cut back to one service and even rediscovered her love for books and puzzles. 5. Unused gym memberships. Like many, Grace once signed up for a gym just in case, but she hated going. Instead, she walks every morning at the park, free of charge, chatting with neighbors and enjoying the fresh air. 6. Beauty products promising miracles. In her 40s and 50s, Grace spent hundreds on creams and serums. I thought aging was a problem to fix, she confessed. Now, she keeps it simple. A gentle cleanser, a good moisturizer, and a smile. 7. Impulse home decor. She once bought new curtains and throw pillows every season. I thought changing the house would change my mood. Now she realizes less clutter brings more peace. Her home reflects who she is, not what she buys. 8. Extended warranties and insurance overkill. Grace used to say yes to every extended warranty at checkout, but they rarely paid off. Now she only insures what truly matters: her home, her health, and her peace of mind. Grace doesn't see these changes as sacrifices. They're trades, she explained. I gave up a few habits and got back time, savings, and joy. Her advice? Old age isn't about holding on to everything. It's about letting go of what you don't need so you can hold tighter to what you do. Would you like a version of this story in audio form or translated into another language? Certainly. Here's a continuation of the story with an additional 500 words, deepening Grace's reflections and offering more life lessons connected to her smart spending choices. One afternoon, Grace invited her granddaughter Lily over for tea. Lily, a recent college graduate navigating her first job, was full of questions about life, money, and how to get it all right. Grace smiled knowingly. You won't get everything right, she told her, but you can live wisely. Lily had been worried about keeping up with her friends. The weekend brunches, the designer bags, the constant travel plans. It feels like I have to spend just to feel included, she admitted. Grace nodded. I know that feeling, but let me tell you something. When you get to my age, you won't remember the brands you wore. You'll remember the people you laughed with, the places you felt peace, and the things you created. She told Lily that one of the most valuable things she learned in old age was how to separate value from price. When I was your age, I thought expensive meant better, but often, expensive just means marketed better. Grace had also stopped spending money to fill emotional gaps. When I felt lonely, I'd shop. When I felt bored, I'd order takeout. When I felt insecure, I'd buy new clothes. But the relief was always temporary. The bill was not. Instead, she invested in her well-being. Time with friends, a few classes at the local community center, and tending her beloved garden. "You see this flower bed?" she said, pointing to the blooming marigolds. "That was $10 in seeds. I get months of joy just watching them grow." Lily asked if Grace ever regretted giving things up, like dining out or shopping for new clothes. "Not once," Grace replied. "What I gave up in spending, I gained in freedom. I no longer worry about bills. I sleep better. I don't feel like I'm constantly chasing satisfaction." Grace explained that getting older gave her the gift of clarity. You start to see through the noise, the ads, the peer pressure, the illusion that more stuff equals a better life. Simplicity becomes attractive. Purpose becomes essential. One of her proudest changes was how she helped her friends shift too. She started a small, frugal, and fulfilled group at the local community center, where retirees would meet monthly to share tips on low-cost living. They discussed free local events, library resources, and how to cook hearty meals from scratch. It became more than a money-saving group. It became a community. Before Lily left that day, Grace gave her a small notebook. "Write down what you truly enjoy. Not what impresses others, not what social media tells you to want, just what brings you real joy. Then spend on those things." Lily hugged her tightly. "You're wiser than a dozen finance blogs, Grandma." Grace chuckled. Maybe I just lived long enough to figure out that a good life isn't about what you earn or spend. It's about what you keep close. Your peace, your people, and your purpose. Would you like me to format this as a blog post or turn it into a downloadable PDF? Of course. Here's an additional 200-word paragraph that further develops the story and offers a heartfelt conclusion. As the seasons passed, Grace found herself more grateful than ever for the decisions she'd made. Living simply hadn't just helped her save money, it had sharpened her sense of gratitude. She began to notice the richness of small moments. The way sunlight filtered through the curtains in the morning, the comfort of a quiet evening with a good book, or the warmth of holding hands with an old friend during a walk. These were the treasures no store could sell. And what touched her most was how her choices had started to ripple outward. Lily had begun cooking at home more often, picking quality over quantity in her wardrobe, and asking deeper questions about what truly mattered in life. Grace wasn't just living wisely for herself. She was quietly shaping the next generation. One evening, as she sipped tea under a sky splashed with stars, she thought to herself, "This is wealth, peace, love, and enough." No credit card balance could buy that. In the end, aging hadn't been about slowing down or giving things up. It had been about coming home to what really counts and realizing that the best things in life don't come with a price tag. Would you like this story turned into a narrated voiceover?